My experiences as a pole vaulter in high school and college greatly influenced my pursuit to understand the muscle mind axis. For those who don't know, pole vaulting is an event in track and field that consists of running with a long and flexible pole, planting it into the ground, converting your energy into the pole by bending it, and then positioning yourself to receive that energy back to go over a bar. I'm not the best vaulter. I can jump about 15 feet or 4.6 meters right now, but professional athletes can jump well over 20 feet or 6 meters. This event is very scary, especially in my case of not having a solid foundation. I had highly inconsistent coaching and very limited access to equipment until very recently, and the event is already quite kind of psychologically difficult on its own. The extreme nature of the pole vault makes pole vaulters reliant on conquering their fight or flight reflex to perceive danger. This effectively teaches them to override signals from their sympathetic nervous system, which is, correctly telling them that this is dangerous and you probably shouldn't do it. Add to the mix some injuries like breaking a pole or landing off of the mat on top of the kind of baseline mental challenge of the event, and vaulters can develop some pretty gnarly fears and negative thought patterns. This is exactly what has happened to me over time and what I'm currently trying to work myself out of during my senior season of college. I have been told that I'm physically kind of capable of jumping fairly high, or at least higher than I am now, but my mindset is kind of the limiting factor to my vault. I find it really fascinating how my emotions and fears that ultimately boil down to brain chemistry prevent me from completing a physical task. For this reason, I have really focused on it and tried to start taking the mental side of training for the pole vault much more seriously. There are two main strategies that I've been using to do this. Firstly is visualizing. Seeing my technique in my head is something I can do at any time, and it kind of lets me observe myself from a third-party perspective. This has helped me drastically improve my form between vault practices, just by kind of running through it in my head. Creating these really vivid images of successful performance allows activation of the same neural pathways that I'll be using in competition without actually physically doing anything. This is cool because I can see myself doing it, and it allows me to rehearse how I'll feel and think in the heat of the moment. In my case, I often see myself reliving a past injury or getting hurt because of how kind of ingrained my phobias are. This is a really good opportunity for me to challenge that within different reality that builds real confidence on the runway. This leads me to the kind of second strategy of cognitive behavioral therapy. And don't worry, this is not a BetterHelp ad. I was introduced to this concept of cognitive behavioral therapy while in therapy in college for other mental health reasons, but I found it very useful in nearly every challenging area of my life. It essentially works by bringing awareness to your thoughts, which influence your feelings, which go to impact your behaviors. It revolves around challenging the most elemental precursor of actions by recognizing that you are the perceiver of your thoughts. Um, this kind of allows you to challenge negative thought patterns and replace them with more logical and positive ones. And cognitive behavioral therapy really allows kind of people to overcome these difficult situations in very kind of fundamental and research-based ways. For me, this could look like challenging an idea that I'll slip on the pole and let go and slam my head on the ground by remembering that I've only slipped off a pole once in my career in a very rainy and low sleep conditions. And, it probably, it's not a reasonable thing for me to be afraid of. For me to kind of stay on top of using cognitive behavioral therapy, I made myself a mental health log, which helps me stay consistent in a convenient way and keep track of my thoughts and how they influence my feelings and behavior. When I kind of like made it for myself on Canva, I put it on Amazon because it cost me no money to do so. So it's linked below if anybody's interested. Anyways, while these two strategies are really focused on our brain to muscle communication, I wanted to kind of acknowledge that this kind of relationship can work in reverse as well. Our muscles excrete chemicals that go into our brain and can influence our thoughts in a chemical manner. Although this is the opposite direction of communication and it is a little bit more subtle, it's something I've experienced as a pole vaulter as well. I'll be touching on this in my next kind of personal/pole vault related video, but for now, that's kind of how I started to recognize how intertwined my mind and body are and how my experiences in this sport kind of introduced me to the muscle-mind axis.